The day my sister-in-law called me useless was the day everything changed. It was my nephew's birthday party. Balloons everywhere. Laughter filling the house. My brother Mark flipping burgers in the backyard. Like everything in his world was perfect. I stood near the kitchen sink, quietly refilling cups and picking up empty plates. I had gotten used to staying in the background. 3 months earlier, I had returned home after 8 years in the military. No parade, no celebration, just a duffel bag, a handshake from my commanding officer, and a flight back to the town I barely recognized anymore. To everyone else, I was just between jobs. To my sister-in-law, Vanessa, I was something worse. She walked into the kitchen, looked at me stacking plates, and laughed softly to one of her friends. "Must be nice," she said loud enough for me to hear. "Living here rent-free. No real job. No responsibilities." Her friend glanced at me awkwardly. Vanessa didn't stop. I mean, 8 years in the military, and for what? He comes back with nothing. No savings. No house. No career plan. Honestly, useless. The word hit harder than any insult I'd heard overseas. Useless. I had been called worse by enemies. But this was family. I didn't respond. I just kept drying the dishes. My brother stepped inside at that exact moment. He'd heard it. "Vanessa," he said quietly. "What?" She shrugged. "I'm just being honest." She turned to me. "You're 32, Alex. Don't you think it's time to actually build something? Or are you just going to live off my husband forever?" I could feel everyone in the living room listening. I swallowed. "I'm working on something," I said calmly. She rolled her eyes. "Working on what?" "A fantasy." Before I could answer, there was a loud knock at the front door. 3 sharp, deliberate knocks. Everyone froze. Mark frowned. Were we expecting someone? Vanessa smirked. Maybe it's a recruiter. They realized their mistake. The knocking came again. Louder. Mark walked to the door and opened it. 2 men stood outside in dark suits. Behind them, another vehicle pulled up. "Is this the residence of Sergeant First Class Alex Carter?" One of them asked. The room went silent. "That's me," I said, stepping forward. The man held up a badge. "Federal Bureau of Investigation." Vanessa actually laughed at first. "Wait, what?" The second agent stepped inside, scanning the room calmly. "Sergeant Carter, we apologize for timing. We've been trying to reach you." My heart pounded, not from fear, but because I knew exactly what this was about. Mark looked at me, confused. "Alex, what's going on?" The agent continued. "Sir, we're here regarding Operation Silent Ridge." Vanessa's smile disappeared. Mark blinked. "Operation what?" I took a breath. Silent Ridge had been classified. A joint task force mission overseas. Human trafficking ring. High-level targets. It had gone bad fast. We lost 2 men. I carried one of them out myself. I signed non-disclosure. I said quietly, "You were cleared this morning," the agent replied. He reached into a folder and handed me an envelope. Vanessa's voice trembled. "Is he in trouble?" The agent looked at her evenly. "Ma'am, Sergeant Carter is not in trouble." He turned back to me. "You're being formally recognized for actions that saved 18 civilians and prevented a domestic attack linked to that operation." The room felt smaller. Mark stared at me like he was seeing me for the first time. The agent continued. "The Department of Defense recommended your name for a federal counterterrorism advisory position. It requires immediate relocation." Vanessa's face had gone pale. "Relocation?" Mark echoed. "Yes," the agent said. "Washington, D.C." The second agent added, "We also need Sergeant Carter's consultation on an ongoing investigation. Certain individuals we apprehended mentioned his name specifically." Vanessa stepped back slowly. "Why would criminals mention him?" I answered quietly, "Because I was the one who arrested their leader." Silence. The sound of balloons brushing the ceiling suddenly felt too loud. The first agent nodded. "Your testimony and field expertise were instrumental in dismantling a network operating across 3 countries." He looked at me firmly. "We need you again." Mark ran a hand over his face. "Alex, you never told us." "I couldn't." I replied. Vanessa's earlier words hung in the air like smoke. Useless. She looked at the badge again. At the agents. At me. You mean you weren't unemployed? She whispered. I met her eyes, not with anger, but with something steadier. I was under review and clearance protocols. The agent gave a faint smile. Translation classified. A long pause filled the house. Then my nephew ran into the hallway, holding a balloon sword. Uncle Alex. Dad says he used to fight bad guys. Is that true? Vanessa looked like she wanted the floor to swallow her. I knelt down to his level. Sometimes, I said gently, but the real heroes are the ones who help people and protect others. The agent cleared his throat. We'll need you to pack. Transportation will be arranged. Mark stepped forward and pulled me into a tight hug. I'm proud of you, he said, his voice cracking. I hadn't heard those words in years. Vanessa stood frozen. As the agents walked back toward the door, she finally spoke. I didn't know. I know, I said calmly. Her eyes filled with something that wasn't anger anymore. It was regret. I'm sorry, she whispered. I nodded once. It's okay. Because truthfully, I didn't need her apology. I'd faced things far worse than harsh words in a kitchen. But sometimes a battlefield isn't overseas. Sometimes it's right inside your own home. An hour later, I stood outside with my duffel bag again. Another vehicle, another departure. But this time, my family watched with different eyes. Not confusion, not judgment. Respect. As the SUV door closed, one of the agents looked at me. You handled that well. I stared out the window as the house grew smaller. You learn to stay calm under fire. He gave a quiet nod. My phone buzzed just before we turned the corner. A message from Vanessa. I was wrong about you. Thank you for your service. And thank you for protecting people like us. I read it once. Then I put the phone away. Because I didn't serve for praise. I didn't operate in silence for recognition. And I didn't protect strangers to prove anything to anyone. But sometimes life has a way of knocking at the door right when someone underestimates you. 3 sharp knocks. That's all it took. She called me useless. Seconds later, the FBI reminded everyone exactly who I was. And this time, no one would forget.